I'm Melissa. And what am I saying?
You're saying I'm Melissa Cooper?
Well, you were supposed to say I'm David.
Oh,
okay, let's start.
Let's
I'm Melissa Cooper.
I'm David Cooper, and we're the Coopers. Melissa and I got married in August of 1993.
Yes.
And she was straight out of high school. I was straight out of the military, just a couple of years older than her. And we went right into ministry. From the time we got married, we knew that we were called to go into ministry together. And so we've worked in ministry together for more than 24 years. There's been a lot of great times and a lot of times that weren't so great. When we moved back to Greenville, we were coming from Rome, Georgia, where we had lived for about 13 years. We were just in a bad place. Our marriage was on the rocks. We came to Greenville in hopes of just rebooting our lives and just trying to start over. When we came back to Greenville after being gone for several years, we had just gone through a very traumatic experience. We had planted a church in Rome. We'd worked in youth and children's ministry for about 18, 19 years. We planted a church in Rome, and we were in our second year, and we just had a massive fallout of leadership. Lots of personal agendas, lots of people with selfish desires, probably ourselves included. I mean, we all had our own vision of what we wanted it to be. When the church plant fell apart, it really put me in a dark place. I felt like I had failed God. I felt like I had failed the family. I just in generally felt like a failure. It changed a lot about me, changed a lot about my attitude, my personality. I just wasn't the same person. And was in kind of a dark place for about a year and a half, almost 2 years after that. We were, I think, maybe even on the verge of a divorce. And it was me. I was pulling away. I was trying to, I don't know, get away from things, get away from life. I felt like I just needed to run away and start over again. And this one, she held on to me firmly and said, "No, if we're gonna run, we're gonna run together."
For me, before we moved, we kind of got stuck in that rut where people outside of our home felt like, I'm sure, pretty much thought we had the perfect marriage. In everybody else's eyes, we smiled all the time. We were always holding hands. We were just perfect. Nothing was going wrong. But inside the house, we were kind of stuck in a rut. When it finally surfaced that things weren't right, that's when we really had to fight. And I wasn't gonna just give up. I had made a commitment, and no matter how hard that it got, I was gonna fight for our marriage.
And so we left our home, we left our jobs, we just packed some suitcases and drove down here to Greenville and stayed with my mom and dad for a few weeks while we looked for jobs and for a place to live.
Cameron was starting his senior year of high school. We uprooted him. He'd moved there when he was in kindergarten. But it was hard being in the quiet house and knowing that my marriage when we first moved here was not great. Mm-hmm. Didn't know how we were going to make it work except through God. I had a bracelet made that said strength and courage, Joshua 1:9. I wore that bracelet all the time. I looked at it all the time. I even slept with it on, took a shower with it on. And that verse is, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God, is with you always. And I clung to that scripture. That was just what helped me get day by day. God, I'm not alone. I don't need to be afraid.
We've been going to Take Heart for about a year now, a year in February. We drove by Take Heart multiple times because we live just a few streets away from where the church meets. One day when we were driving by, I told Melissa, I said, well, let's stop here. Let's just go and find out what this church is about. And service was actually already started and we didn't go inside. Mm-hmm. We just went to the foyer and just kind of listened from the foyer for a little bit. And we made a decision then that we were going to come back that next Sunday and actually attend. I would say that Take Heart really helped to transform our life and restore our lives. A lot of our life was based on religion. And it's not to say that we didn't have a relationship with God, but I think that the religion sort of diminished the relationship. We focused more on going through the motions of doing church and not really being the church. And since we've been here, God has really worked with us and helped us to be the church. And not just in the church atmosphere, but be the church here in our home.
Finding the church and getting connected with people that believed and were going to be there and be our friends no matter what we could be real with, just changed everything.
You know, I thank God for giving me a wife who is far more determined to hold our family together than I was. God has done a tremendous work in our home and our family. My kids are happier than I think they've ever been. They're just well-grounded in the community, well-grounded in the school system, love the church, love to volunteer, strong in their personal faith. God brought us back into a relationship with Him that was sorely damaged from just our frustration and bitterness. Then, of course, He restored our relationship and really just rebuilt our family, rebuilt our love for one another. And I think it's stronger than it's ever been.